Hello, gorgeous viewers. Welcome back again. Well, last time I did a video on why we should defend our marriages. Well, that was part one. Today I'm gonna do the second part of exactly why we should defend our marriages. Well, I'm sure most of you are curious. They just want to know, okay, fine, it's not working. Is it really worth the fight? Stay tuned. Well, here is the reason. As I told you, this is my high life. All right. So I'm just gonna go back again into the scripture and just give us, those very key reasons why we should defend our marriages. And among the reasons, one was because we need to please the heart of God. He gave us because he gave us marriage, all right? And two is because it is right. In as much as it is godly, it is right. When you're in a happy marriage environment, then you feel safe, you feel appreciated. I mean, you feel your life is complete and your life has spice. When you're in a marriage relationship that is frustrating, it doesn't really give you that spice of life, and it always makes you feel frustrated, and sometimes you wonder, I mean, so what and then what? So this is why we need to defend our marriages. In as much as it is godly, it is actually even, we are guided by the scripture. Last time I gave examples of how Abraham could not hire a child, and then we looked at how they struggled with Sarah and how Sarah even had to get a maid, and eventually they get a child, and so on and so forth. Now, this time, then we went to the son of Abraham, who was Isaac, and it took Isaac 40 years before Isaac could conceive a child, could sire a child, just like the father. I mean, perhaps not as long, but it took him quite a long time. Then we went to Jacob. Then we realized also Jacob, that the woman of choice of Jacob could not conceive a child, and it took her so many years before she could conceive a child. And what does she do? She does exactly what the grandmother in law did. So you look at this whole history and the background, and then you realize it is very generational. Some of the choices we make today, our children will end up doing the same things. So because of these very young ones that you're bringing up with so much love, we want to care and defend and protect so much, our actions, we shall reap them through our children. So today, as part two, I'm just going to explain, of course, with the help of the scripture, what happens to Abraham. When we look at Genesis 20 verse from verse 1, it says, "And Abraham journeyed from there to the south and dwelt between Kadesh and Shur and stayed in Gerar. Now Abraham said to Sarah his wife, 'She is my sister.' And Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah." So this is Abraham telling a lie so that they can be able to cross over. And he's telling, we look behind and we see Abraham sitting down Sarah and telling Sarah, "Sarah, you are very beautiful. And if we go there and they find out that you are my wife, they're gonna take you from me, and we shall no longer be able to see each other. But if you tell them that you are my sister, then I will be safe. As your husband, I will be safe." And that's the kind of lie that they give. Now, you will look at Genesis 26, and let's see what the son does. 26 verse 6. This is what the scripture tells us. "So Isaac dwelt in Gerar, and two men of the place asked about his wife, and he said, 'She is my sister.' For he was afraid to say, 'She is my wife,' because he thought, lest the men of the place kill me for Rebekah, because she is beautiful to behold." what is happening here? They are having to make the same lie. Why are they lying? Because the father lied. So I don't want to take so much time from the first video of part one. I explained well exactly why we should defend our marriages, and the most fundamental reason, and the most one reason that I explained, was because we are having children in our marriages and we intend the very best for them. We hope the great things to happen to them. You know, we want the best in their lives. Sadly, we are not making those decisions in our own private lives. And when God makes judgment, he doesn't judge from what the world sees, you know. He doesn't judge from externally, you know. God sees inside, you know, those small things that we do in private and in secret. Sometimes we think they will not get to our children, but the God who judges does not judge only from what happens from the outside, but also from what our thoughts and our intentions and our secret behaviors. That is what God uses to judge us. And God, as I said last time, and God usually will, God says that I will give you blessings from your first to your second to your fourth generation, and in equal measure I will curse you from your first up until to your fourth generation. You see, in between there, it's us to decide what path we want to take. And sadly, in my generation, and rather in our generation, I'm realizing one thing, that we are taking for granted the place of God in marriages. You know, we just want to walk the journey alone. You know, we think we can make it, and we have made it, you know. So even as we're bringing up our children, in most often than not, we want to bring them up in a certain style and in a certain way, you know, only for us to forget and to lose sight that when God makes his judgment, he looks from those very small interactions we have within our souls, you know, in our private places. That is what God looks at, you know. When you have an argument with your husband, how do you deal with that argument? When you make those bedroom decisions, you know, thinking that our children are too small, or thinking that our children will not really understand what is happening, trust you me, the God who sees in the private will for sure reward you in the public. So I am not giving a threat. I am only being guided by the scripture. And I just want to make one plea to us today as I finish, that every decision we make today, let us realize that God who sees will make our children go through the same thing, and it will hurt us, and it will hurt our spirits, you know. So how do we go about it? Let us learn to talk to God. When it comes to marriage, as I keep on saying, let us speak to God and we tell God, I want to walk the journey of marriage with you. You gave me a wife, we have children together. You do not give me the mandate to separate, but you tell me that if I walk with you, you're gonna make this life, this journey of marriage, more pleasant and more fulfilling. That is what you tell me, because you tell me that the spouse that I have, that I find so incomplete and so difficult, you know, should complete me. Well, in my own eyes, from my own end, I cannot be able to see that, but I know you can then mold him, at least for me, you know, not for my sake, but God, for your sake, and also for the sake of our children. Let us know and let us learn that everything we do it for God and also for our children. And up until the next week, enjoy your week.